Wave Foundation's mandate is to rise up and show people the love of God. Our impact as a church goes beyond the four walls of our buildings, beyond our city, and out into the world as we commit to help improve the lives of individuals in our community and globally. The 5 components of Wave Foundation embody the whole vision of the church. They work together in harmony to expand our reach. These components include church impact and expansion, community outreach, both local and global, communication initiatives including Wave TV and more, Wave Leadership College expansion, and Wave Collective, which empowers the local church. Beginning in 1999, Pastor Steve and Sharon arrived in Virginia Beach to take on a church that we now know as Wave Church. Year after year, Wave Foundation has been able to accomplish all the goals set out before us, from purchasing property and paying down debt to seeing 8 healthy campuses reaching their communities for the cause of Christ. Now entering our 20th year, we can reflect on all the lives Wave Foundation has enabled us to impact.
My name's Jake. I'm originally from Northport, Florida, and I now live in Virginia Beach. I lived my whole life just trying to find what eventually I found out was Jesus, and I did that with drugs and alcohol and partying. I struggled with depression my whole life too, so it finally got to a point where it was like, either I'm gonna die tonight or I'm gonna wake up and find out why I'm still alive. So when I woke up in the morning, I decided to reach out to somebody who I knew went to church so I could try to figure out what was going on. Pastor Steve was preaching and he did an altar call, and I just felt that it was right that I needed to go down. And I went down, and Pastor Steve shook my hand and he looked at me and said, "This is a big decision that you're making." And from then, my life just went on overdrive. I met my beautiful wife, Ashby. We're expecting our son Beckham to be born here in March. I have great friends who are around me. I have a great job. Now that I'm actually serving in Wave Church and I get to lead a community group, it's so amazing that we get to see people who once were where I was, hopeless, living in the darkness, put their hand up and make that decision. It's such a cool moment to see that transformation happen in other people's lives.
Hi, I'm Lori. I live in Hermosa Beach, and I go to Wave Church, Los Angeles. Well, I went to church since I was 5 years old till about 12 or 13, and my life got pretty crazy around then. I stopped going to church, and I got into just the wrong crowd, and it just kind of kept going down a dark path of manic depression, suicidal. I kept driving by to the airport, this blue building. I was like, oh, I need to check out that church. I was at Starbucks one day and I ran into this guy and he was talking to my roommate about music, and I heard him say worship leader, and I was like, wait, excuse me? Where do you go to church? And he goes, oh, I go to Wave LA. And I was like, oh, the blue building. A couple weeks later, I walked in there and I met a couple people and they were just so happy, and I was like, this feels like home. I was never really taught the one-on-one with God, the relationship with Jesus, and that kind of was when I didn't have that when I was younger, and I was going through just a really rough time with my parents, and I'm splitting up, and just being depressed and then covering it with drugs and alcohol, to coming into this house where there was so much freedom and seeing everybody so free. It was I want that, and I want that healing, because I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it was possible. I found community. There is restoration with my family. I have a relationship with Jesus, which is amazing. And that would have not happened had I not walked into this house. Pastor Rachel and Israel and Wave LA being sent out here wasn't just for my life. I know it was a huge part of it, but it's also for LA. It's for the state of California. If this is just the beginning, I can't even picture how many people are going to be reached that don't even know Jesus yet. It's going to be awesome.
Manpower is a 12-week after-school mentoring program. The lessons are driven behind 4 key concepts, which are real men, real influence, real power, and real success. It gets me hyped and gets me pumped. The coolest thing is being able to see these kids just change over 12 weeks.
We need programs like Manpower. We want our children to go out in this world and be who they should be and become with extra support. And a lot of people, sometimes don't have that support at home.
Some of my favorite things are mostly my friends and the fun time that we have, especially JP, because he knows how to have fun. The golden rule was to treat others the way you want to be treated, and that really had a big impact on me. And the last one too, because I don't have to be perfect. It was very awesome.
I want to be the greatest poet the world has ever had and known. Watoto took me up when I was 15 years of age. Before I joined Watoto, life home was so chaotic and there was too much suffering. And now as a Watoto child, I just feel it has really impacted in my life, spiritually, physically, and psychologically. Watoto has enabled me complete my high school program, and now I'm looking forward to join the university to do a bachelor in social work.
I'm Eric, and I live in Suffolk, Virginia. I am originally from a very religious family background. I said the proverbial sinner's prayer as an insurance policy and made terrible decisions. I just ran in the flesh. I did what felt good, and it all just progressed into being ultimately arrested some years later and charged with 30-some felonies. Now, before that, I held a top secret clearance, never had so much really as a speeding ticket. I was a staff sergeant in the 101st Airborne Division. I was happily married. I had a new home. We were talking about starting a family. And then I found myself in an orange set of pajamas in a jail cell, facing decades of consequences. And in that hour, I had convinced myself that the only way out of that was by taking my own life. And the next thing I know, I'm reading scripture, and his word to me was, you need not take your life. I've given mine so that you can have life more abundantly. The resources are limited in a jail cell, one of which is a television. And on Sunday morning, as I'm seeking and looking and flipping through the channels, I come across this guy named Steve Kelly and a program called Wave Church. And the segue that went into the sermon that day, it captured me. It had my attention. And so I watched and I thought, wow, what a sermon. This guy's a pretty good speaker. And who would have thought in a matter of days, now I'm teaching a Bible study out of the Gospel of John from what I learned Sunday morning on television. So fast forward to today, and all of those early teachings, now I'm able to give back to others, students in the Program of Youth Challenge. Same thing that was given to me. God spoke to me through Steve Kelly and Wave Church in a jail cell. And I can't help but wonder, how many other people heard what was said that day on that television that I never knew anything else about? I can tell you from my perspective, it helped change my life, and God used it as a conduit to speak into my life.
In the years to come, Wave Leadership College, partnering alongside Wave Foundation, plans to further expand campus facilities and continually create further opportunities in the advancement of the mission of WLC.
We focus on what matters, and that's transforming the student to be the leader that God has called them to be. The best of academic instruction and preparing them for the realities of study, but also the side-by-side mentorship and learning, serving that they get to do in the church, in the same heart, sharing the same space, doing the same work, and the outcome for the community of Virginia Beach and beyond is a blessing.
Wave Collective's goal is to impact the world through providing leadership, modeling kingdom DNA, and to be an encouragement to pastors as they lead their local churches in fulfilling the Great Commission. We believe God has given us both a national and international mandate for this specific purpose. Meet some of our collective.
Hi, we are Pastor Zhenya and Vera Kasevich,
from Dynamo Church Miami.
and we just want to say thank you, Wave Church.
Hi, we're Julian and Sharon from Citygate Church, London. Thank you, Wave Church.
Hi, I'm Pastor Nelson Bowen.
And I'm Marshall Bowen.
And we're the pastors of Engaged Church in Waldorf, Maryland. Thank you so much, Wave Church.
Hey Wave Church, Pastors Anthony and Miriam Fleming from Rutherford, New Jersey, Church Alive.
And we just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you guys do.
Now entering our 20th year, we are excited for what the future holds. So where do we fit in? Giving to Wave Foundation is a financial commitment over a 12-month period, so there's a place for everyone. For those who call Wave Church home, the opportunity to exercise faith and generosity through annual giving to Wave Foundation has been a life-changing experience. Together, we can establish the one thing that can't be destroyed, God's house. Wave Foundation's goal is that people come to know God, find community, discover their purpose, and ultimately help make a difference in the lives of others. We can bring hope to a hurting world and leave a legacy of change for the glory of God. With great excitement, we invite you to join us on this journey of changing the world one life at a time.